Imagine this. You wake up one morning and decide, I want to own a football stadium. You buy land, build a giant arena, put 60,000 seats inside, and wait for millions of fans to arrive. Sounds like the perfect business, right? A single match, 60,000 people, a $100 ticket. That is $6 million in one afternoon. You might think, why doesn't everyone build a stadium? Because the reality is very different. A modern football stadium is not just a building. It is one of the most expensive and complicated businesses on earth. And today you will discover why some stadiums become money-making machines, while others become billion-dollar nightmares. First, let's talk about the cost. Most people look at a stadium and see only three things: the field, the seats, the roof. But that is only the visible part. Behind the scenes, there are thousands of hidden costs. The land, the underground parking, the security systems, the technology, the giant screens, the restaurants, the luxury boxes, the internet systems that allow tens of thousands of people to connect at the same time. A modern stadium is basically a small city, and building a small city is not cheap. For example, SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles cost around $5.5 billion. Think about that. One stadium cost more than the yearly budgets of some countries. But here is the surprising part. The stadium itself is only the beginning. The real challenge is not building it. The real challenge is paying for it. Nobody walks into a bank and says, "Give me $5 billion. I want to build a football stadium." Instead, owners create a huge financial puzzle. They invest some of their own money. They sell sponsorship deals. They borrow billions from banks and investors. Then they spend decades paying it back. This creates one big question. Can the stadium make enough money every year to survive? Because the loan does not care if your team wins or loses. The bank still wants its money. Now let's talk about the easiest money to understand: tickets. A stadium full of 60,000 fans sounds like a gold mine. But ticket money is not pure profit. Every match costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to operate. You need security, medical teams, cleaning staff, food workers, electricity, maintenance, technology. And after all those costs, you still have other problems. Because an empty seat is not just an empty seat. It is lost money. A fan does not only buy a ticket. They buy food. They buy drinks. They buy merchandise. They spend money inside and around the stadium. So when thousands of seats are empty, the stadium loses much more than ticket sales. But here is where stadium economics becomes interesting. The biggest money often does not come from normal fans. It comes from the people sitting above them. The VIP customers, luxury boxes, corporate memberships, premium experiences. A normal ticket might cost $100, but a luxury seat can cost thousands. Why? Because companies are not only buying a seat. They are buying relationships. They bring clients. They entertain partners. They create business opportunities. A small percentage of the stadium can create a huge percentage of the revenue. That is one of the secrets of modern stadiums. But smart owners know something important. Football alone is not enough. Why? Because football games happen only a few times a month. What happens during the other 300 days? The stadium is still there. The bills are still coming. The debt is still growing. So the best stadiums transform into entertainment machines. They host concerts, boxing events, American football games, business conferences, tourist attractions. The stadium is no longer just a place where football happens. It becomes a destination. Look at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. It was designed differently. It was not built only for football. It was built for concerts and other major events too. The result? Millions of dollars can be generated even when there is no football match. That is the future of stadium business. The winning idea is simple. Do not build a stadium. Build an economy around a stadium. Another huge source of money is naming rights. You may have noticed something. Many stadiums are no longer just called by their location. Companies pay millions to put their names on them. Why? Because every time someone says the stadium name, every time a match is shown on television, every time people search online, the brand gets attention. It becomes a giant advertisement that people cannot skip. But there is another side to this story. A stadium can also become a disaster. A perfect example is when construction starts but money runs out. A half-built stadium becomes a giant symbol of failure. Millions spent. Years wasted. A dream turned into concrete. That is why stadium projects require more than passion. They require smart financial planning. The biggest mistake people make is thinking, a stadium is a football business. It is not. A modern stadium is actually a real estate business, an entertainment business, and a technology business combined. Football is the attraction, but the money comes from everything around it. The concerts, the restaurants, the hotels, the corporate events, the sponsorships, the premium experiences. The smartest stadium owners understand one powerful idea. They are not building a place where people watch football. They are building a place where people spend money every day. That is the difference between a stadium that creates billions and a stadium that creates debt. Because in the modern world, the 90 minutes of football are only the beginning. The real game is happening behind the scenes, and that game is called business. I can also turn this into a YouTube documentary-style script with scene directions, B-roll suggestions, and narrator emotions if you want.